Bitcoin Weekly News. It is July 13th, 2022, and today's episode is going to cover all of the top Bitcoin and Ethereum news so you guys keep up to date on all of the latest crypto news on the tube in about 5 to 10 minutes. As usual, before we get started, please subscribe and hit the notifications bell below if you want to keep up to date on all the crypto Bitcoin news. And here we go. So the first bit of crypto Bitcoin news we have this week is the Cointelegraph news article that came out this morning. About 6 hours ago, Bitcoin tanks on highest CPI data since 1981 as BTC price dips under 19K. Now, as we all know, the CPI is the consumer price index, and this is the inflation reading, or the cooked inflation reading, for the American economy. And since the CPI came at 9.1%, that means that all risk on assets will probably take a beating. If it goes above 10%, it's going to take even more of a beating. That means that the Fed will increase rate hikes probably to 75 basis points, and this probably means that Bitcoin is going to keep going down. It's not a very bullish signal for Bitcoin. It is definitely a bearish signal for Bitcoin. So the expectations had favored 8.8% CPI. However, it is 9.1%, which is higher than expected, and it's definitely not peaking, so it means that it's going to keep going higher, probably into the double digits. You can see the knock-on effect of the CPI numbers was also seen in the US dollar. After the release, the US dollar index spiked to new 20-year highs, forcing the euro below parity as a result. This is very good for the US dollar and very bad for the Japanese yen, as well as the euro and other currencies in general. Basically, it looks like ETH is probably going to also drop below 3 figures, or below 4 figures to 3 figures in the near future. It's quite likely we'll be going below $1,000 here soon. So make sure you guys keep up to date with the Fed news. Let's go on to the next piece of news, which is another sort of bearish news for Bitcoin. Bitcoin faces Mt. Gox's Black Swan as trustee prepares to unlock 150K BTC. This was actually a couple days ago, released on July 7th, 2022 on Cointelegraph. Basically, Mt. Gox has announced that they're going to release the Bitcoin that was recovered back in, what was it, 2016, I believe. Pretty much really old Bitcoin, and it is known as one of the Black Swan events that could happen to Bitcoin to really crash the price. Other similar Black Swan events are, well, the first one was the Mt. Gox victims finally get their Bitcoin released. Tether collapse, unable to redeem, so USDT or USDC. Total stock market crash, which has happened a little bit, but not so much. Taiwan invasion, Ukraine escalation, and or the least likely one looks like Satoshi is alive and moves from BTC to Genesis Wallet, or Schiff buys Bitcoin. Awesome. So yeah, it looks like a lot of this pretty bearish news today, but I'm going to go ahead and move on to a few more bearish news, and then in the end of today's video we have a little bit of bullish news. There was another pretty interesting news. The SEC delayed the decision on Cathie Wood's ARK 21 shares Bitcoin ETF. Cathie Wood's ARK investment and crypto investment firm 21 shares, their ETF has actually gotten delayed even further, so it looks like she is actually pushing to go ahead and get this approved. Bottom of the article, it talks about it just doesn't make sense that the SEC would say no to spot Bitcoin ETF products, but they're saying yes to those that track the futures. It is kind of weird to me that they're letting you track futures and not track spot. Anyways, that's bad news for Bitcoin. As we all know, last month I believe it was, Grayscale also sued the SEC because the SEC did not approve, or they delayed their ETF as well. So it's really bad news for the Bitcoin ETF. We're all hoping it would come here soon. Let's go ahead and jump on to bullish news, which is crypto regulation, and the US Treasury wants your comments on Biden's crypto order. This is on Decrypt News. Check this website out quite a bit. You can go ahead and scroll down and see here the notice lists the Biden administration's objectives as a protection of consumers, investors, and businesses in the United States, protection of the United States and global financial stability and mitigation of systemic risk. C, mitigation of illicit finance and national risks posed by the misuse of digital assets. And D, reinforcement of the U.S. leadership in the global financial and technological and economic competitiveness, including through the responsible development of payment innovations and digital assets. E, promotion of access to safe and affordable financial services. F, support technological advances and promote responsible development and use of digital assets. So they're asking for feedback on this, and it looks like we have a few weeks to go ahead and give feedback until August 8th, so just 4 weeks to go ahead and give feedback on this crypto order. And it looks like the Biden is asking for the different institutions and the different legal entities around the US to go ahead and try and abide by this order and do some research. They have about 180 days of the order to go ahead and examine the environmental impact of cryptocurrencies and the effect of blockchain consensus mechanisms like proof of work and proof of stake on energy use. So they really want to go ahead and crack down on some of the energy use, and they also want to make sure that it does not pose a risk to the global US leadership and the global financial system. Okay, and let's go ahead and move on to Ethereum and some other tokens. There's some pretty big news for Uniswap. They had a large phishing attack, so I just want to note that in this video. If you go ahead and use Uniswap, make sure that you do not use any contracts. You don't know what they do. Do not approve any migration to Uniswap v4. There is no Uniswap v4, so just make sure you do the proper research before you go ahead and jump into anything on Uniswap, or you go ahead and interact with any airdrops that you receive from your LP on Uniswap, because it could be an attempt to go ahead and steal your tokens. Okay, so be careful, guys. And let's go ahead and move on to Ethereum here. Ethereum Scaling Solution, Starknet, announces token launch for September. This is another layer 2 like Optimism. Starknet is a layer 2 scaling solution called Starknet. The Israel-based team behind Starkware has taken another step towards decentralization, the launch of a native token, a public good like Ethereum or the internet. So it's going to be a layer 2, a lot faster on Ethereum, built on Ethereum. The technology is stewarded towards its goal of wide adoption. There's not really much more to this, but it's just kind of showing that there are a lot of layer 2s being built on Ethereum. So let's go ahead and take a look at this last article. This is a little bit bullish for us, and it tells us that, hey, you know what? The winter presents an opportunity amid chaos, says Asset Group executive. So I got told Cointelegraph that bear markets lead to great ideas being formed and new businesses being built. So yeah, if Bitcoin was the spark for the financial services revolution, then DeFi is the accelerant. The fire spreading will engulf many firms that fail to innovate, adapt, and embrace this hot new industry. Just keep your heads up and keep building. Anyways, that's it for today's news. I hope that helped you guys out, and I'll see you guys all next week for Bitcoin Weekly News. Peace out, everybody.
Bro, we need to pump it. Everybody, go to Twitter and hashtag the things, pump it. You know, pump it real good. We need a good pump. Everybody deserves a nice Tezos pump.